Hello friends, this is Vinayak from VB Education and today we are going to learn a very interesting topic in environmental law, that is the coastal zone management. The coastal zone management, it falls under the chapter 14 of the environmental law. So what do you understand by? First we'll try to understand what is coast. The coast is land which is surrounded by waterfronts, moreover sea. But it is not confined to the sea. It can be any waterfront which is having a tidal waves. For example, sea, bays, estuaries, creeks, rivers, backwaters, etc. So as we know, India is surrounded on three sides by water. So we have the Arabian Sea on the west, we have the Indian Ocean towards the south, and we have the Bay of Bengal towards the east. And what are the coastal lines of India? The Konkan coast, we have got the Malabar coast in Kerala, then we have got Tamil Nadu, then we have got Andhra Pradesh coast, then we have got uh, Odisha coast and West Bengal coast. Now let's try to understand what do you understand by the coastal regulation zone. Now the coastal regulation zone, what do you understand by CRZ, coastal regulation zone? As the name suggests, the regulation means control, right, in English. So basically it is the control of the central government over the coast. So there are two types of control, right? One will be the defense perspective, but we are not going to learn about the defense perspective. We are going to learn about the environmental perspective here. So how well the central government is protecting our coast, that is defined in the coastal regulation zone, CRZ. And that coastal regulation zone, it is defined by the central government in the notification which was issued by central government under section 3(1) and section 3(2) clause 5 of the Environmental Protection Act 1986. And it is also defined under the rule 5 3 of the Environmental Protection Rule 1986. Now, coastal stretches declared as a coastal regulation zone and thereby activities in the CRZ are regulated. Now, what are the coastal regulation zone? The coastal regulation zone is nothing but, see, when we have a high tide, the water rises, right? Level rises, and water comes towards the land. And when we have low tide, the water moves away from the land, right? It recedes in a way. So the land which falls between the low tide and the high tide line, that is the regulated zone. Plus the land beyond the high tide towards the land side, beyond the high tide line, 500 meters towards the land side, that also falls under the regulated zone. So if I say the regulated zone, it is between the high tide line and the low tide line, plus it is also 500 meters towards the land from the high tide line. Clear? Now we have got four types of coastal regulated zones. One is coastal regulated zone 1, which falls where it is covers the sensitive areas like the national parks, water parks, etc. Then we have got CRZ2, that is built up area or the city areas where there is a density of population is more. Then we have CRZ3, which covers the rural and we have areas which do not fall under the CRZ1 and CRZ2. And finally we have got CRZ4, which covers the water areas up to 12 nautical miles. See, basically why there is differentiation is given Z1, CRZ1, 2, 3, 4, so that the central government can control very easily these waterfronts. Okay, fine. Now there are certain restrictions which are, or prohibitions you can say, for certain activities in these coastal areas. We'll go through them one by one. So first one is setting up of new industries or expansion of existing industries. It is not allowed in the CRZ area except those directly related to waterfront or directly which need foreshore facilities. So only facilities which are actually needing the foreshores. Now there are certain activities which require the foreshores, right? So there you cannot control, but other industries and expansion of other industries is not allowed in the CRZ zone. Point 2 is manufacturing or handling or disposal of hazardous substances. Now, if you remember, in August 2020, there was a huge explosion in Beirut. The entire city was shattered with that explosion. So there was an explosion because of the fireworks, and I think sodium nitrate was stored in the on the coast, and there was a huge explosion. So such explosion also could have been avoided if they would have taken proper care. So manufacturing or handling or disposal of hazardous substances, it should be prevented. Then point 3 is setting up an expansion of fish processing units, including warehouse. So it is not allowed. Setting up of fish processing unit or warehouses near the sea. It is not allowed. And here it is hatchery and natural fish drying is excluded. So it does not cover the uh, hatchery and natural fish drying. Then comes point 4, setting up an expansion of units or mechanism for disposal of waste and effluents. So you cannot set up new disposal of waste or effluents without any approvals, and except facilities required for discharging treated effluents in the water course. So if you want to if we want to send those effluents in water, first you need to treat them. Before treating them, you cannot allow such effluents to be added to the water, sea water. Clear? Then 6 is discharge of untreated waste. Actually, the fifth point is similar to the fourth point. So discharge of untreated waste and effluents from industries, cities or towns, and other human settlements. Then point 6 is dumping of the city and town waste for the purpose of landfilling or otherwise. So we have seen people throwing plastic bottles in the sea. So it is absolutely not permissible. Then point 7 is dumping of ashes or waste from the thermal power stations. So thermal power stations, they make use of coal, right? So if you burn coal, what you get is ash. So dumping of such ash into seawater is not permissible. Then point 8 is land reclamation, building or disturbing the natural course of seawater. It is not permitted. So we cannot reclaim. What is land reclamation? You have seen the in Dubai, they have built city in the sea, right? So that is known as land reclamation. So that is not permitted without proper approvals. So one exception here is building up of the sea link. We have seen Bandra Sea Link, right? Bandra Worli Sea Link in Mumbai. So that is one of the exceptions for this point 8. Then point 9 is mining of sands, rocks, and other substrata materials. Mining is also not allowed near the sea in the CRZ area. Only uh, mining of very what do you say? Mining of very expensive things, you can say, or very rare things, it is allowed. Otherwise, the mining is not allowed. Then in point 10, harvesting and drawal of groundwaters and construction of mechanism thereof is not allowed. So you cannot harvest the seawater. You cannot take the seawater, convert it into drinking water without any proper approvals. Then any construction between the high tide and the low tide line, it is not allowed. Then construction activities in the ecologically sensitive areas, which are specified in the annexure 1, is also not allowed. And any construction of sand dunes, not construction, any dressing or altering of sand dunes or hills, it is also not allowed under this law. Okay, so these were some activities which are prohibited. Now let's see the activities which are permissible. Okay, so the activities which are permissible are construction activities related to defense requirements. So there are certain defense activities which the defense force require, right, at the coastal region. So these activities are permitted, uh, but except operational component of defense projects. Like suppose that if you want to build a defense building, so that is not permitted. So here approval is required for building a defense building. But then if you want to have a jetties or slipways, so what do you understand by slipway? This is a slipway. And if you want to uh, create a jetty for your boats, so that can be prepared. Even lighthouses you can erect. But then for the building construction you need the approvals. Okay, so that's all. Thank you so much. Have a nice time. Bye.